Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
You know, some words of wisdom for this Monday morning. The quickest way to double your money is to fold it and put it back in your pocket. And here's one that's really the truth. Letting the cat out of the bag is a whole lot easier than putting it back in. Here we go. Good morning, everybody. I'm Zeb Bell. Zeb at the Ranch. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. We'll be right back with the Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. Good morning. I'm Zeb Bell. Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our major corporate sponsor, and that's Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Get rid of your garbage. Call Kelly and the crew at 734-6969. And right now we'll go over to a lovely lady that had a busy Memorial Day weekend. Good morning, Gina.
Good morning, sunshine, and it sounds like mine was a little bit less stuffed up than yours.
We came down with a little case of the flu bug, and so I'm sitting here this morning just... I don't know, having visions and thoughts of not being here this morning.
You know, I don't blame you, but we'll get through the day. It's going to be gorgeous and a short work week.
Do we have a pledger?
We have Rotten on for the pledge and Mr. Michael Rogers on for the weather.
Thank you, Gina. Go ahead, Rotten, if you would, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Absolutely a great job this morning, my friend. Thank you for calling in. We appreciate it.
Yes. Good morning. Bye.
All right. God bless you. Thank you. There's a really, really nice couple. Ladies and gentlemen, our weather is brought to you by Save on Shells. Now, there is no reason why you shouldn't put a camper shell on the back of your pickup and protect the groceries and the tools and the fishing equipment and the saddles and the tack. Everything. Hey, listen, they've got the best selection at 1835 Overland in Burley. Save on Shells with Anthony. Telephone number to call, 312-1525. I'll tell you more about them right after Michael Rogers weather. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning. It's not summer yet, but it's going to be hot. 90 for the high, 47 for the overnight low. You're going to see a lot of sun, very little clouds. The good news is you're going to cool off starting tomorrow, and then you'll continually cool off all the way through the weekend. So enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
There you go, MichaelRogersWeather.com, and it's brought to you by Save on Shells. Don't forget they've got the new ARE camper shells. All the different models, many to choose from, and all the different colors and everything. And they've got the pickup bed slides that really can be a work saver for you. You better believe it. And listen, let me tell you, they have got a fantastic selection of used camper shells. How do I know? Because I bought one from Save on Shells. Call Anthony today at 312-1525, and they're located at 1835 Overland in Burley. Save on Shells, the very, very best. Oh, my goodness. Good morning, everybody. Zeb at the Ranch on a Tuesday. I know I'm going to say Monday sometime during the program. It feels like a Monday. Oh, boy, does it feel like a Monday. Hey, before I forget, I want to get this in. my good buddy Dave Zanino. They're going to have their second of the series of the Jerome County Fair team ropings, and that's going to be tomorrow night, Wednesday night. And sign up at 6:30, rope at 7, 3 for $20 draw pot. Don't forget, at the Jerome County Fairgrounds, okay? And sign up at 6:30, rope at 7, Jerome County Fairgrounds, and the rope and stock contractor Dave Zanino. All right. Hey, SafeLink Internet. I want to tell you about those good folks at SafeLink Internet. They have been around for about 16 years and counting in Idaho, and we've been with the program, I think, for at least, 6, 7 years, maybe even longer. Wow. I mean, we're really, really happy to be with them, and they're always expanding, always getting better, always getting faster, and they've got a track record to prove it. All you have to do is give them a call and get on the program. Tell them I sent you. 677-8000, the number to call. Idaho's number one choice, SafeLink Internet, serving you. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I got to tell you about a cartoon book that Paul Peterson put together for us. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. I talked to Kevin the other day, and he said, there's a statement going around. I think somebody said that don't ever clean your Levi's. Ooh-wee. Somebody said that the owner of Levi's or something went for like 2 years without cleaning or washing or anything his pants. Oh, that's ugly. Well, I'll tell you what. Question comes up, does frequent dry cleaning shorten the life of a garment? No, on the contrary, makes it longer, prolongs the life of a garment. And go to the best, Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. They are the best. Kevin and Cindy and everybody serving you at Daryl's Cleaners. Stop in and see them today. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I hope that you had a memory-filled Memorial Day weekend. Some of it was and is going to be hard to forget. I hope you had the opportunity to stop and remember and decorate the graves of family members and soldiers in your family and friends, etc., and really remember the true meaning of the term Memorial Day weekend. We had Lunch Bunch last week on Thursday, and there are so many talented people in that Lunch Bunch, and Paul Peterson is one of them. And he put together a cartoon series of different things that we've talked about on the program. And he's got in his mind's eye, I guess, what I look like when I'm sitting here on the air. But it's a really cute cartoon book, and Paul, I want to say thank you. That's a very treasured gift, and I appreciate it. Paul Peterson with his cartoon book, and his wife said he listens every day and then picks out certain topics that we've discussed and makes a cartoon out of it. Very, very talented man. Thank you. Don't forget your local home and ranch store, Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert, with Steve and Mandy, the whole crew serving you. And don't forget they've got all your lawn and garden needs. If you have any questions, Steve is the answer man to gardening, and he will answer them for you. And still 10% off on all the 4-H equipment and supplies as we draw nearer and nearer to fair time. Wow. And all the feed needs, everything right there at Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. You stop in and see those great folks today. And by the way, too, they've got all your clothing needs. They've got a great selection of boots over at Valleywide Home and Ranch, your local home and ranch store, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Gina, are you right there? I got to ask you this. Are you right by your microphone?
No, I ran.
Oh, you ran away. Okay.
Uh-huh.
When you were a reporter for KMVT News, were you ever sent out to interview somebody or go to a press conference and interview and ask questions?
No, I was lead anchor, so I was not a reporter.
Okay. Did you hear what happened at the French Open?
No.
Oh, my goodness sakes. You talk about a clueless, basically dumb reporter. Now, picture this.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. You're already aware of this?
No, I'm waiting for it. I can kind of feel it's happening.
Okay. Well, anyway, the loser of the French Open tennis tournament is being interviewed, okay?
All right.
So the stupid reporter stands up and says his name, and then he says, "Congratulations."
Oh my gosh. Uh-oh.
And the guy that lost says, "Wait a minute, I lost." And the reporter goes, "Oh, so you did."
That's embarrassing. That is very embarrassing for not only the reporter, but for the guy who lost.
How in the world could a reporter be that stupid and not really follow his job and know where he's at, had no idea of the environment, whether it was the loser or whether it was the person that won the championship? How could you go in and start something off to the guy that feels so disconsolate and so rejected and dejected and say, "Congratulations"?
Number one, obviously the reporter wasn't paying attention. Number two, he hadn't looked up the bios on said players yet. Number three, he just made a jackass out of him.
Oh, did he ever? But and you know, here's something else too that always gripes me, and I know you've heard this at least 1,000 times, is what in the world is the matter with these reporters when they have a chance to interview and get some information, and let's say it's at the end of a championship, and I'll bet you know what the first question is they ask. Go ahead. I know what it is.
So how'd that feel?
There you go. That is the dumbest thing to ask anybody. Well, it feels fine. Thank you very much for asking. Oh, what can you say when somebody says, well, how does it feel to be the champion of the world or champion of the NFL? I mean, come on. That is a question that is so mundane. How does it feel?
I know. It is like the number one over-asked question. If I was going to say, the PRCA National Rodeo Championship, say I was going to be there, and I was going to, and I would interview the winner, I would probably ask, this is probably be my first question. So how much training did you actually have to do to go through to win this championship?
Yeah, that's a good question.
You ask a training question. You ask, how much time and dedication did it take you to get to this level?
You take like the all-around Trevor Brazil. He starts at early in the morning when he's back at his ranch in Decatur, Texas, and ropes all day long and into the evening on maybe at least 10 different horses during the course of the day.
That's a lot.
It is, but it's a training regimen that he has developed, and that's why he's won millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And, to ask a stupid question after an NBA game or a football game or a rodeo like he's, well, how does it feel?
Well, if you're asking the loser that, dude, it sucks. What do you say?
Yeah, really? Oh, I tell you what. And you know who the worst, I think, of asking dumb questions is? And for some reason, she's hailed as one of the best sideline reporters, and she just recently got a gig on that Dancing with the Stars. Erin Andrews. I don't like her.
You don't like her at all?
No. I think she's got a very nasally voice. You have 10 times a better reporting and on-air voice as Erin Andrews.
Yeah, okay, here's the deal. People have their own distinct voice, which sets them apart from everybody else, That's kind of like their calling card. The voice is the calling card. But if you have an annoying voice, kind of like Fran Drescher.
Or Barbara Walters.
Barbara Wawa. You do things to not only enhance your voice, to make it a little bit more unique, but a little bit more professional. You go to a voice coach. I have always wanted to go to a voice coach. And if I ever got onto more of a national level, I would.
Yeah, but you come across as straight and honest and boy, I'm not trying to sound sexist on this, but this is true. Very few women come across well on either radio or TV.
It's hard for a woman to come across well on either and be professional about it. It's really, really hard.
But I'm telling you, I like your voice is 1,000 times better than Erin Andrews. She comes and cries, he's really nasally like this. I'm Erin Andrews and I can't stand it anymore.
Maybe she needs to wear a breathe right strip.
Wear a what?
Yeah, freeze-dried strip. Okay. It's something that you put over.
What do you think she's going to run in the Belmont Stakes or what?
You never know. She could be. Which, by the way, Triple Crown going on, isn't it?
Yeah, I honestly don't know if California Chrome can win the Triple Crown, but boy, am I pulling for that horse.
Now, the Kentucky Derby was held. What was it? 2 weeks ago?
4 weeks ago. It's 1st of May.
And then we do the Preakness, right?
Yep. And now we go to the Belmont Stakes.
The Belmont Stakes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. I have no stakes on any. I have, no bets. I used to watch this all the time, but I have no bets on.
This is a long one.
The California Chrome?
No, this is a long one, the race. Belmont Stakes is the longest one of the three.
Yeah. And is that going to be held this weekend?
June, let me check my list right here, June 7th.
Speaking of this weekend, and I know that we're just kind of filling in time or whatever, but are you going to be Western Days? That's coming up.
No, as a matter of fact, I am going to be gone about 500 miles away.
Oh, well, I'll think of you on my birthday.
Well, listen, that's coming up on, let me remember, don't tell me, June 2nd.
Very good. Hey. Oh, wait, hold on.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Oh, and by the way, before we do a commercial, guess who had a birthday yesterday?
Well, I know it wasn't you.
Jimmy Flowers.
Happy birthday, Jimmy.
Yep, happy birthday. And we might as well do our tip of the coffee cup right now. How's that?
Might as well, sure.
The other evening, we went to Duck Ugly's for supper.
Oh, did you?
Oh, what a wonderful place, and the people are fantabulous.
Did you try the ugly dog?
No, I had the Philly pita sandwich, and you know me and Philly sandwiches.
Oh, yes.
I'll tell you what, it was absolutely delicious. And so our thanks to them, very nice people, Duck Uglies. And then also we want to say thanks to Kate and Jimmy Edwards. So there's our tip of the coffee cup. Go ahead and give the big slurp this morning, if you would, please.
That is so good.
There you go. Thank you. Ramsey, take it in just a second. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They've got all your lights. You don't have to sit in the dark and go, well, where did that go? Well, you've got all the incandescent lights at Ramsey Heating and Electric. You've got all the outside lighting. You've got all the CFL bulbs. They've got all your cords and cord ends and fuses. Hey, listen, they've got all your electrical needs. All you have to do is stop in and see them at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Ramsey Heating and Electric, always serving you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zed. Do I have time to share a little something I heard for Memorial Day?
Real fast, Rod. Go ahead.
Okay, it's a little poem that goes, there's a sound that's heard across the land, it's heard across the sea. You only live spirit if you listen with your heart, and one day hope to be free, to hear the sound of freedom. Many gave their lives. They fought for you and for me. Their memory still lives inside us, and now it's our time to be free.
I like that. Rodney, as always, you're very well versed in books and literature and poetry. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, sir. God's blessings to you.
I knew you'd like that one.
Thank you, sir. I do thank you. Have a good day.
And I'll talk to you later.
You bet. That was nice. That was very nice. Thank you, Rod. Appreciate that. Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland and Burley. We were over there. Gino was there, too, last Thursday for lunch bunch. Wonderful lunch bunch. Oh, my. I tell you what, everybody's just bragging, raving, and just absolutely ecstatic about the food and the service with Thomas and Terry and the whole crew. Why, goodness sake, 611 Overland and Burley. And they've got everything, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And, of course, you can sign up and you might win a free Grand Slam. Celebrate your birthday right there. Hey, senior special menus and AARP discounts. Wow, they really take care of us. They'll take care of you. At Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland and Burley, you stop in and see them today. Okay? Let's see, what else have I got? Oh, my goodness sakes. I am not into Indy car racing. I'm not really, I like NASCAR a little bit, probably on a 1 to 10 scale, probably about a 4.5. And I've never really been into the wide wheel racing of IndyCar. But I got to say that by accident, I came in the house the other day, sat down, turned the TV on for a few minutes, and was going to have a cold iced tea, and I had forgotten all about the Indianapolis 500, and turned on that race. And Gina, I don't know if you're still there or not. Did you see the end of that race?
No, I did not.
Oh, my goodness, going, I think at 200 plus miles an hour, they were playing chicken. And it was absolutely amazing. The winner was Ryan Hunter-Reay, and he was playing chicken with Elio Castroneves, and holy cow, they won. Ryan Hunter-Reay won by 0.06 one-hundredths of a second.
0.016 one-hundredths?
Yes.
It's down to the milliseconds now.
Yeah, and here he comes down the track, this Ryan Hunter-Reay, coming down the track, and Castroneves is in the lead, and he fakes like he's going to go to the right, and his wheels are right up against the back end of Castroneves' vehicle, fakes like he's going to go to the right, and Castroneves moves his car over a little bit, and this guy just crams the wheel and shoots through on the grass side of the infield, barely making it without spinning out, and takes the lead and wins by literally a hair.
That's really gutsy driving. I'm not big into the IndyCar racing. I do like NASCAR, and I like lots of drag racing, but IndyCar racing does take a lot of skill, because you're just not driving around in the oval. You're actually driving on real roads. And so I've got to give it kudos to these guys, because they push the car.
No, this is on the oval at the Indy. This is on the oval at the Indy. I'm telling the Indy 500. And it was so exciting. And even for people that aren't into the wide track racing, like you just said a minute ago, I'm more into NASCAR myself. Mm-hmm. But, oh my goodness, one small little mistake right there, Gina. Yeah. And we saw some horrific wrecks as it was, but my goodness sakes, Ryan Hunter-Reay, just by literally a width of a hair, wins the Indy 500. It was really exciting.
Just by a fake out.
Yep, that's right.
That's tricky driving, because you've got to be in the mindset of not only what you're going to do, but anticipate what the driver either in front of you or behind you is going to do. So there's a lot of things going on the field. And could I do it? No. My thing was boat racing. I loved boat racing.
I like that too. Yeah. But can you imagine? Nobody knows how much nerve that took from Ryan Hunter-Reay, except his person that does the laundry.
It probably took a lot of nerve.
Oh, it scared me, and I was sitting in my geezer chair.
I'm pretty sure that they don't have a glove box where they can pair or tag along an extra pair of tidy whities.
I'll tell you what, it was exciting. Hey, don't forget Travel Lube Supply, 1050 West, 203 south of Hayburn, and the number to call, 438-8730. Tidy whities, huh? Well, I don't think they've got those over at Travel Lube Supply, but they do have everything else. They've got all your sprayer parts. Just mention the name. You heard it on Zeb's program. You get as much as 50% off. Holy cow. And air filter cleaning, save a lot of money, and they've got all the bolts and the bolt bins and everything, and they got your oils and your tools, everything at Travel Lube Supply, 1050 West, 203 south of Hayburn. Number to call, 438-8730. Now it's time for the Capital Press Ag Minute, brought to you by Lennox Home Comfort Systems. Don't forget, whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Here now, the Capital Press Ag Minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly.
Federal authorities claim that a joint wheat milling venture among several agribusiness giants would violate antitrust law. The companies ConAgra, Cargill, and CHS must sell several mills in California, Texas, and Minnesota to be allowed to complete the deal. Without the sell-off, their Ardent Mills joint venture would have controlled a third of U.S. wheat and durum milling capacity and generated $4.3 billion in revenues. While the parent companies claim the joint venture would have helped flower buyers better navigate regulations and market swings, the Justice Department said the deal was anti-competitive because flower buyers have limited options in some areas. For the Capital Press Ag Minute, this is Brandon Tenner.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West's Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and capitalpress.com.
And thank you very much, and welcome back. Okay, give us some calls, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, good morning. You are on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Unfortunately, Congressman Simpson's back at it again, and he voted for the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, the Patriot Act, which basically allows the federal government to come up to your door and knock the door down and come in and take you, and also withhold you for any length of time they want to without charges. Isn't that fun?
What happened to the Constitution?
Voted the other way, and people that voted for Simpson, you just realize that the unconstitutional acts that this man continues to vote for.
What happened to the Constitution? What happened to the value of the Constitution? What happened to our rights? What happened to our liberties? What happened to all this stuff? I can't believe that we're voting and putting things in effect that are superseding our Constitution and our entire value system in this country.
Well, supposedly in the name of security, we're giving up all of our liberties, and we've been doing it gradually, but, they're just taking a little bit at a time. It's like boiling the frog in the pot. If you have hot water to begin with, the frog jumps right out, but they've been just putting us in the pot and slowly cooking us until we're done. Meaning we lose our freedom.
Well, the Fourth Amendment, for those that are unaware of what it says, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. When you look at that word, unreasonable searches and seizures, so they're going over the word unreasonable. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. And also in addition to that, of course, the Democrats, led by Harry Reid, want to limit free speech in the First Amendment. Mm-hmm. If it's not politically correct, then, we're going to be limited by the First Amendment as well. So this stuff is just happening right before us. People, we better wake up. I know we have an election and we have to support the people that are in there, but we have to call their number and say they take an oath to uphold the U.S. Constitution, whether they're state representatives and senators or U.S. senators and representatives. So,
yeah, but it goes a step further than that, Adrian. It goes a step further, too. And I know you'll agree with me. We also need to hold Obama's feet to the fire as President of the United States and make sure that he upholds the law that is passed by Congress and doesn't change or alter things just for his own benefit.
Well, yeah, after a law is passed, then he just says, well, I just use my pen, I'll change it. My gosh, unbelievable.
Yeah.
The stuff that goes on like that, and people, you better wake up. It's this country, I've been watching this thing for a long time, involved in this thing, and like I said, all power is going to the UN eventually. Gun control, the court system, the money, it's all going there. H.R. 75, get us out of the UN, is still the battle cry. And we better keep our guns because, believe me, they're working backdoor to take those. And once the guns are gone, it's all over.
I appreciate that, Adrian. Thank you so much for your call this morning. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you a lot.
You betcha. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I got to tell you that last week, remember towards the beginning of last week, we said that we were trying to get hold of Andy Johnson over in Wyoming. Now, remember the story. Andy and his family had built a little farm pond just for the enjoyment of his family and others to come onto the property. They had some fish stocked in it, and it was open and accessible for for wildlife to come up and drink out of it, everything. And they had gone through the state regulatory affairs system to get all the proper permits and everything. And the EPA got wind of this and bang, came in and said, cease and desist, tear it apart, or we're going to charge you $75,000 a day. A day? Well, Andy's fighting them. Well, finally, we got a chance to visit with each other last week on the telephone, and very, very nice man. And he assured me that he's going to call me sometime today here at my ranch phone number, and he's going to get scheduled to come on the program and talk about the EPA and what kind of villains they really are and how he thinks they're going to beat this whole thing. So we're going to have him on the air hopefully tomorrow, maybe Thursday, depending on his schedule, because he is a very busy person right now, as well you can imagine. Caller, I will be right there. Please don't go away. I want to remind everybody about Four Paws Bed and Bath, 370 West, 200 South of Rupert, and they offer free pickup and delivery for senior citizens 65 and older that need grooming, boarding, or daycare for their puppy dogs. That's right, or your kitty cats. All you have to do is just call them at 438-4444 and say, hey, you know what, we would really appreciate if you come by and get Bowser. He needs a real good cleanup or whatever. And they do the pickup and delivery at all others at a minimum cost of $15 round trip. So free to the seniors 65 and older, and to all others very economical, $15 for round trip. Get your dogs and kitty cats all taken care of. Free for seniors 65 and older. And that's for the pickup and delivery. Four Paws Bed and Bath, 370 West, 200 South of Rupert. Really nice people. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Sir, my friend, how are you?
Doing great, Jay. I was watching the news and all that stuff yesterday, and talk about security lapses and stupidity and ignorance. This administration has released so-called accidentally all the names of the CIA and directors and all that stuff. Now it's nation and worldwide. Ain't that something?
You know, you said the word right there, accidentally, and you put emphasis on it. I will tell you that this was no accident. I will tell you that it should have never been broadcast. I will tell you that it absolutely shows the ineptitude and the amateurism of this administration. And then you can tell me what. Do you agree or disagree? I mean, this is pathetic.
I know it is. I mean, but you're supposed to have a little bit of security, you know, when you're doing your job for the CIA and that, and your FBI. But, man, when they go blabbing your name all over the world, what in the hell is this administration trying to do? Destroy us as fast as they can?
Well, you know, your point is so well taken. I mean, let's just say Joe Smith. Let's just use the name Joe Smith. I mean, now everybody's been outed, and it's a quote-unquote accident. I know I'm going to sound like it's a little bit of clandestine and everything else. Al, I don't think it was an accident. I think it's on purpose, basically to denigrate us even more.
Yeah, I know. And I get so sick and tired of this crap that I was watching a lot of them movies yesterday, like Showdown and the Reservoir in Korea, where all them guys froze.
Yeah.
I watched the Normandy invasion. I watched the Battle of the Bulge and all that stuff. I mean, good to hell, Zeb. If we're going to fight like we did back in them days, why can't they have a little more respect for the people that have done all this work for us and, you know, keep ourselves safe? But no, they're letting us go down the damn tube because of stupidity.
Let me ask you a real quick question, Al. From the war films of World War II, let's say it's John Wayne, or let's say it's Audie Murphy, or let's say it's stories and movies about Korea, what happened to that semblance and that personality of we're America, we shall overcome, and we will be the beacon of light for the rest of the world? What happened?
Well, they just went to hell in a handbasket.
I agree with you.
They don't give a damn. They wasn't trained properly, and they're still not trained properly.
I agree with you. Al, God bless you. I said I agree with you. I really do.
Have a good one.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
sir. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget, Ramsey Heating and Electric is taking care of all the Lennox home comfort systems, whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump. You and your family will enjoy the comfort. Yes, you will. Yes, you will. All you have to do is call them at 678-0459 or stop in at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Ramsey Heating and Electric. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb.
Hello, Tony.
There's another major problem we're facing. I don't think a lot of people realize this. People like Putin and the Muslim terrorists are trying to isolate the United States from the rest of the world. They want to totally cut us off and break us economically. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty evident that's going to happen.
Tony, I have made no bones about my feelings about the Muslims and the Islamic terrorists, and even in this area, Tony, and it's surprising, even in this area we have Islamic sympathizers that have the thought of, those poor people. Well, the reason they attack us is because they don't have anything like we do. Tony, that is no excuse at all for murder, mayhem, and absolute violence against civilization. I have no sympathy for those people whatsoever.
Well, now they say they located the area where those 200 or 300 girls are.
Yes.
We can't do anything about it. That's what it says on the computer this morning.
Well, yeah, and there's a concern. I read some of that myself this morning. There's a concern that if all of a sudden they walk in there trying to save those girls and get those young women and girls out of that situation, that all of a sudden there would be a mass bombing or whatever to kill the hostages. I mean, it's a real catch-22 and a very sticky problem right now, Tony. But I'm telling you, we have problems here at home that are not being addressed. We have the Muslim Brotherhood involved in our politics and involved in this administration. We have people of Muslim backing that absolutely want to see Sharia law going into our court system. We're being torn apart in the middle by Islamists.
Absolutely. You just can't get enough people to stand up. We have somebody up there in Washington that should take a lesson from Ronald Reagan. Maybe we'd get something done, but we've got a weak one up there, and he just got a yellow streak down his back.
I can't argue that. It's always good to hear from you, Tony. Thank you so much for calling in this morning.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Good man right there, Tony Salerno. I've got a lot of respect for him. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. There's something else to be worried about your kids right now, and they can buy this stuff on Instagram. And I'm going to talk to Gina about this in just a minute. So stand by. Don't forget our friends at Berry Equipment and Rental. Oh, my, are they busy. Oh, my, when they open the doors every day during the work week at 3 locations, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls and South Lincoln in Jerome and Highway 30 in Burley. Oh, my, they've got all the Coyote tractors. Why, they've got herds of them. And they've got the Doosan loaders and excavators, and they got all the Bobcats. They got everything you're looking for to get the job done. And they also have a need for some more mechanics, so give them a call or stop in at Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, South Lincoln in Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Berry Equipment and Rental. Whether you're buying or renting, they're there to serve you. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We're going to do the weather, and while we're doing the weather, I want you to give me a call. Weather is brought to you this hour by Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center, 382 North Overland in Burley. The number to call, 678-6996. Minor emergencies, major care. And I'll tell you, they said in a note they sent me, hey, Zeb, we're seeing in the spring going into the summer lots of lacerations. Be careful out there. Watch out what you're doing. But if you do have a cut or a scrape or a break or a strain or a sprain, whatever, be sure and get a hold of the people that can take care of you. Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center, 382 North Overland in Burley. The number to call, 678-6996. Here is Michael Rogers' weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Start of short week. You had a great weekend, nice weather. You don't feel like being at work today. It's going to be hot today. It's going to be a normal Magic Valley spring day. Yes, it's still spring. Summer's not to June 21st. Look for a high today at 90 with a heck of a lot of sun. Now, the good news is that you're going to take a 20-degree dip in temperatures starting tomorrow. And that'll continue all the way through the weekend. So you can look for temperatures in the mid to upper 70s from Wednesday all the way through Sunday. with sunny clouds in the forecast. Enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. Brought to you by Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center, 382 North Overland in Burley. Really great, folks. Minor emergencies, major care. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Gina, being a younger-than-me mom, and her boy, 7 years of age, got some more years, hopefully, to worry about these types of problems. Gina, are you right there again? Maybe she left. I don't hear her.
No, I had to go and get Conway real quick.
Who is Conway?
Conway Kitty.
Oh, Conway Kitty.
Yeah.
That's quite a name. Who named the cat?
We actually had a listener. We did a big old contest, and a listener named him. And so we pulled all of the names that we liked together, and then we drew one out of the hat, and it was Conway Kitty.
I'll have a real quick contest with you, and if you win this, you get a free breakfast.
Sweet, okay.
Okay, Conway Twitty. Name another famous person with the name Conway.
I can't do it.
Tim Conway.
Tim Conway, okay.
Okay, good. I like steak medium and eggs over real easy. I think, honestly, I got to say this before we get into this next little bit. Tim Conway, in my opinion, remember him from the old Carol Burnett show?
Oh, a long time ago.
Oh, yeah, but what a fantastic comedian. And then he was on McHale's Navy, too. Remember that?
He was. I do remember that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Conway, I think, absolutely, you talk about a deadpan face that could just absolutely draw laughs. It was his.
I missed the Carol Burnett show. I'm going to have to YouTube that.
Oh, and Harvey Korman, remember him? Oh, yeah, he was the tall guy with the balding head that was on the Carol Burnett show with Tim Conway and Carol Burnett. And then there was Lyle, oh boy, I forgot his last name, Lyle, the guy that had the wonderful deep voice and the dark black hair.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Lyle, I'll think of it here in a minute. Yeah, they had a great show. Anyway, Tim Conway, one of the greatest actors and comedic actors, I should say, that ever came down the pike. I really enjoyed him. There's something else to worry about as being a parent. You know what it is?
What is that?
Did you hear about Frosties, spelled Phrostiess? Frosties. You don't know about these? Well, it seems like, and they're really gaining in popularity and danger back on the East Coast, if your kids call or send a message to Instagram, they will have within 2 hours Frosties delivered to your house. And you know what a Frosty is?
Not an ice cream cone?
Not even close. A Frosty is frozen sugar drink that is almost 120 proof alcohol.
Oh, my goodness.
And what's happening is they cost $10 a piece, and these kids are drinking these, and one will put you on your lips upside down like a toilet sponge on the bottom of the floor, and they're just
porcelain god.
Yeah, these kids are just they're just passing out after one of these things, and like I said, they're $10 a bottle, but they call them Frosties, and they're having them sent to their home within, like I said, the 2 hours, and a lot of them are doing it when mom and dad leave to maybe go get groceries or something. They're sending, they know they got enough time, and then they're sending these over to the house, and they are getting blitzed.
Wow, I'm going to have to do some research on this one. Thankfully, Kennedy does not know anything about Instagram or anything like that. So that won't be happening in my household.
Yeah, but you know, I saw something on television the other day, and you are very computer literate. I mean, you're really sharp at Facebook and the computers, and you probably, I know you text and everything else. And see, I don't do any of that kind of stuff. But you know, they had a little interesting story on the news the other day, and I followed that, and I agree with it. You know, people absolutely are losing contact with people. They don't know how to talk to people.
No, they don't.
They don't know about eye contact with people when they're talking to them. You know, their heads are down, they're answering a phone. And they took a little survey of like families that were going to go camping on Memorial Day, and the kids were told in this family they couldn't take along any electronic devices. The kids got mad and wouldn't go.
Well, okay, so this is what has happened. Since the invention of the computers back in, I don't know, the mid-'90s when they came about, honestly, and this is my theory, the computer has been the demise of communications.
I agree.
And our society as a general, because number one, we're not teaching our kids how to communicate face to face anymore. It's called computer mediated communications, or what they call C2C, and then you've got the face to face, which is called the F2F.
Yeah.
And this is all part of my master's studies, and due to the internet, we've seen a degradation of spelling. We've seen a degradation of our kids learning how to socialize in an atmosphere where there's really people.
Well, see,
just a chat room.
You just made my point for me, and Deanna and I don't think she's going to get mad at me if I mention this, but it's been about a month ago, and I said, you know something? Let's stop sending the doggone emails, and let's call somebody up and say, hello. How are you? Nice to hear your voice. You know, we have lost a personal touch by not even calling people anymore.
Or writing letters.
Yeah.
The art of writing letters is gone, and there will be, at least one day during the weekend where I will set my phone down and I don't answer it. I mean, if I happen to get a phone call, I'll answer that or I'll return a phone call. But other than that, I stay off my phone on the weekends because it's, you get just too wrapped up in this digital media, and there's so much more world out there. There's the outdoors, there's camping, there's hiking, there's fishing, there's boating. There's so many other things that we could be doing with our children, but everybody's got their face in their phone or their face in the computer, including our kids.
Look at the guy in New Hampshire a week ago on Monday. I don't know if you followed that story or not. He was texting going down the street, walked right out into an intersection and got run over by a delivery truck.
Yep. It's happening quite frequently because people just think, or running with, and I'm not discounting this, people like to run or work out with music.
Sure.
But when you're doing it out of doors, you really have to be aware of your surroundings. And when you have a set of headphones on and your face in your phone or whatever, you're not paying attention.
Well, the other thing is, though, about the kids, and I know that there's some kids listening now that are out of school and everything, but, as far as just getting back to basics, hey, Johnny and Susie, why don't you gather some firewood and we'll make a fire by the tent? And we've lost everything. I know families that have complained right here in this area that have complained their kids won't put down the computer, the smartphone, or whatever it might be. They've got to stay on that 24/7, 365. What in the world is going on with our society? We forgot how to interact with each other.
That's because our children right now, the kids that are growing up in junior high and high school, they have not known life without the internet.
I agree.
They've not known life without having a cell phone attached to them. They've not known that. Now, my brother, you, people of our generation, we know. I remember life prior to the internet. We got outside and we played.
Yeah, but I'm old enough now. I can still remember sending smoke signals.
So what I do with Kennedy is, okay, he gets X amount of time on the computer, where he can play for X amount of time on his DS. After that, get your butt outside. This is what we're going to do. We're going to go have some fun. We've got this to do, that to do. And so you've got to force your kids. And don't be afraid to, A, reset your password, or B, disconnected from the building.
And I'm just really concerned that the next generation coming up, or actually two removed down from me, they don't know how to sit down, maybe on a back porch, and look somebody in the eye and visit with them. No,
they don't. And that's sad to see, because you want to know why? Their conversation in their world is via text letters.
Yeah, with you. I mean, instead of Y-O-U, how are you? It's how are you, are the letter, and you for the name. And it's so impersonal. We've got so impersonal with people. And the only time that Gina ever sends me a text message, and believe me, it really expedites things here, she'll send me, Zeb, so-and-so is ready to go, and I appreciate that, so then I know whether to wrap up a commercial or do another commercial, and then we'll know that the person's ready to go. But that's not impersonal at all. As a matter of fact, it's an aid and a benefit to the program to keep things running smoothly. But I'll still maintain that if you took 10 teenagers and you go pick them out of any school or whatever situation, I will guarantee you that there would be less than 20% or 2 out of the 10 that could really sit down, look somebody in the eye, and hold an intelligent conversation.
And write a thoughtful, well-spelled letter.
Oh, boy. Yeah. I got to pay some bills. I'm glad you agree with me on that.
Oh, completely.
Okay. Hey, don't forget, for all your tire needs, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, my goodness sakes, they are busy. They throw open the doors early in the morning and say, come on in. We're here to serve you with the best in tires for all your driving needs, whether it's your passenger car tires, pickups, SUVs, horse trailers, boat trailers, whatever, they can help you. And along with all the tires, they've got the best in brake service, too. They can make sure when you say stop, you will, whoa, I guarantee you. So check out all the front end alignments, shocks and struts, and, of course, batteries, the custom wheels, all there at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And be sure and stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family over in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. The best. Doesn't get any better. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Whew. Okay, now, coming up next hour, we are going to have Dr. Larry Kawa, Kawa, and he's going to be talking about Latinos not signing up for Obamacare. Boy, the Obama administration really felt the hurt on this one. They thought everybody that was Latino was going to sign up for it. It didn't work out that way. And then at 9:30, we've got attorney James Herson from California coming on, talking about a new film from Disney that's really doing well this summer. They estimate it's going to be a blockbuster, The $1 Million Arm, and we're going to talk to James Herson about that. Later on, Dr. History, and then my dear friend back in Indianapolis, Dave Bigo, going to talk about the Pacers, going to talk about the Indy 500, and talk about the SEIU Union. Don't go away. I'll be back in 6. Oh, welcome back. Hour number 2 on a Tuesday. I know I'm going to mess it up sooner or later and say Monday because it feels like a Monday, but it's not. It's Tuesday, and well, we've been through that before. Good morning. I'm Zeb Bell at Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, and all the 7 locations, along with some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and its great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Always at your disposal. They take those words very seriously, whether you need dumpsters in various sizes to clean out the basement or the garage or whatever, or your shop, or whether you need porta potties for a special family reunion. They've got it all for you right there at Western Waste. Don't forget, go to the number 734-6969. Always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, serving you. Hey, don't forget, during the course of the summer, we have a program called Gardening for Idiots, and look, I know, it's named after me. I'm not much of a gardener, but I'll guarantee you, if you can't saddle it or rope it, I don't know much about it. But anyway, Vicky's Country Garden brings you Gardening for Idiots, 185 South, 600 West of Paul, and that is on Thursdays at 9:12. And she's got all kinds of great things and ideas for you for your garden, one-stop garden needs, and all the flowers, all the seeds, everything. So get over there and talk to her today. Vicky's Country Gardens, 185 South, 600 West of Paul, 438-5663. And before we get to our guest, I also want to remind you about some really wonderful people at Hanson Mortuary, and I say thank you to them every day they're on this show. They just really are invaluable in serving you. When there's the passing of a loved one, believe me, they are there to serve you and help you. And flexible hours and family attention, and all All you have to do is call. They'll be there to help you. 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. Always with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Hanson Mortuary with Joel Heward, 710 6th Street in Rupert. That number one more time, 436-5636. Going to the phone line right now and talking to a gentleman that's been on the program, but it's been a long, long time ago, and looking forward to his comments. And we say good morning to Dr. Larry Kawa, medical director of his own orthodontic practice, that is. Good morning. I messed up the word practice, but I could say orthodontic. Now, that's really something.
You're good, Jeff. Thanks for having me back on.
Larry, you are, and tell me if this is wrong according to the cheat sheet, you're the only and have the only official lawsuit filed in federal court in regards to against Obamacare. Is that correct?
You are correct. I'm both proud and disappointed at the same time. I'm glad we've got our suit. I wish there were more patriots standing with me that could, launch a suit like that. But you got to be a masochistic large employer, because basically I'm suing him to tax me. I want to see that the law is going to either fall or stand on its own merit, and I don't feel that the President or the Congress have won. As you know, he's changed the law 38 times through executive action, and this is the law of the land, as he has so often said. And bear in mind, only Congress can make or change the law, and the President has an affirmative duty to enforce the existing law, whether he likes it or not. And he has failed to do so. So one of two things factually must be true, since he's changed it 38 times. Either he didn't know what he was doing then, or he doesn't know what he's doing now. But I feel America deserves better than a president that either didn't or doesn't know what he's doing.
All right. I hope you don't mind if I call you Larry. I feel like we know each other now good enough on first-name basis. Let me ask you this, Larry, and I agree with everything you said, right down to the nth degree. But this man, for some reason, has the media. He's got a charisma about him that people just say, oh, well, that's okay. A great big toothy grin. And he said that he's going to supersede Congress. He's going to go around them anytime he has the opportunity. Why in the world are we as Americans letting this man basically go against the law? Why are we letting him do it?
Well, I think it's got to be either fear or ignorance. Nobody stands up to this, but the truth is it's tyranny and it's socialism. So I hope you don't mind if I call you Comrade Zeb. But it's the truth. We have a president that has really twisted the Constitution. And the funny thing is he's dismissed Congress and called them irrelevant, as he did at the State of the Union. And you see the entire left side of the chamber stand up and applaud like clapping seals at the zoo. However, in the context of our case, we've called them out on this, Zeb. We've said to the president, who often says, let me be clear, here's your opportunity. And you know what he's done? He's shied away from sunlight, and he hasn't even claimed, nor has his attorneys, which is Eric Holder and Stuart Dellery, the Attorney General, and the head of civil law of the Attorney General. And all they said is, we're not claiming that we had the right to do it. We're just claiming, we're begging you, don't give him standing. Larry does not have the right to sue the president. So my statement is, just because you're a beacon of transparency doesn't make it any more so than standing in a garage makes you a car.
Well, let me ask you this, Larry, and I know this might seem like a naive question, but it's a lot deeper than what it sounds. What do you hope to achieve through this lawsuit?
Well, we've asked the court for two things, and I'll tell you what I think they're going to hopefully give us. The two things we've asked them for is a declaratory action, meaning a federal court will declare this a knowingly unconstitutional maneuver on the part of the Obama administration, including the ones we served lawsuits to, the IRS, the Department of Treasury, and their heads. The second thing we've asked them for is to set aside the illegal waiver of the employer mandate and let the law work. If this president wants to change the law, he's got to go through Congress. So we're going to send a broadcast message loud and clear to him. You are not a one-man Congress, and we're going to let America see what the president has truly done and that the courts have declared it knowingly unconstitutional. Now, bear in mind that it exposes him to certain disciplinary proceedings within the context of Congress. Let me not use the I word, but just bear in mind it does expose him to an impeachment hearing, and it only takes one congressman to start that. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to necessarily get impeached, but bear in mind, he very well could. But just as importantly, let America understand what the Obamacare law is about, and let's let the employer mandate hit and see if it works or doesn't work. Let's not wait until after the midterm elections when America is politically paralyzed, which is what this president wants. So he's delayed all the painful parts of the law literally just a week after the election. For example, the enrollment date. It says in the law that your insurance carrier, like everyone, must disclose to you what your premiums are going to be for next year on October 15th. Well, guess what he did 6 months ago? He said, the insurance companies need more time. They're not allowed to disclose that to you until November 15th, until a week after the midterm elections. Now, how is he going to know 6 months ago that insurance carriers are going to need an extra week when it says in the law that they have to disclose to the Department of Health and Human Services what their proposed premiums will be no later than the end of May? Why would you move it from October 15th to November 15th if there's clearly no need to do it other than to politically protect the Democratic Party in the midterm elections because they don't want to eat their own cooking? And let's remember, not one Republican voted for this law, and we're going to hold them to it. If it works, great, let them have the credit. When it doesn't work, well, let them suffer the political consequences, because not only do elections have consequences, but political deceptive maneuvers such as this one has consequences as well. And he's going to need to be accountable, just like he ran on, that he be accountable.
Larry, let me ask you this part of the question. It's a little lengthy to explain, but I know that you've got an answer for it. The Democrats right now, I think, are like guys in a firing squad, and they're the target. It looks like they may lose some very important Senate seats. Whether they lose 6 or not, I'm not sure. But yet, they've got the media on their side. They've got the media. They've got the ABCs, CBSs, and NBCs. And they also have a very outspoken U.S. House Minority Leader, Nancy Pelosi, saying that, quote, Obamacare is beautiful and it's proving to the public that it is a great benefit. How would you respond to those charges about the media, Nancy Pelosi, and fighting back against the Republicans?
Well, let me start with Nancy Pelosi. I would love them to list all the Americans that have saved $2,500 a head as promised on their insurance, because if they do exist, you could probably write their names on the back of a matchbook. In regards to the media, I really can't tell you why they're so blind, but my message to them is, I'm sure they're well-intended. However, so were a lot of bad things that happened in the history of our country, and the point is we need to make head decisions, not heart decisions, and I think they can't wait to give away more and more. You know what they say about the liberals, right, Deb? They say that a liberal is someone who can't wait to help the world with your money.
Right.
And the media is just like that. They just think it's terrific. Yes, we can. Well, the question is, what's the question? Yes, we can what? Yes, we can give away everybody's money and everything that we work for in the interest of, quote-unquote, helping others. And that's nice. But there's others that simply can't, and not that they can't do for themselves, they just won't do for themselves. And the question is, do we have a cradle-to-the-grave government that really just protects you from the moment you're born to the moment you shut your eyes? And do we live in a country, or do we live in a country club? And right now, he's treating it like he's the concierge, and all those hardworking Americans are going to suffer the tax consequences as a result of this, because the fact is, you can't give someone $1 until you first take that $1 away from someone else who's worked for it and didn't get it. So you're going to just disincentivize the workforce of America as taxes go up, and as we become a bankrupt nation. Somebody asked me, are we out of money? I said, are we out of money? We were out of money $17.5 trillion ago. That's why it's called borrowing. It's debt. Sure, we're out of money. That would be my answer, Zeb.
Larry, okay, now, is this possibly a structured plan of destruction? Obamacare is doomed to fail, but they want it to fail so that we will see an implementation of the single-payer program. Do you believe that at all?
Well, I can tell you that there's no question in my mind that that's the case. And for those of your listeners that would like to confirm that, all they need to do is go on YouTube and Google the words Obama 2003 AFL-CIO speech, and you will see him on tape say that what his ultimate goal is that he wants a single-payer system. And the AFL members stood up and applauded him. And right now that Obamacare is taking effect, they're up in arms because they see that it's costing them a hell of a lot more money. And what they thought was terrific turned out to be a lemon. So there's no question he wants a single-payer system and to control 1/6 of the economy, because certainly it's the pillars of Marxist socialism is to control the healthcare system. And there's no question that the public option, which is something he advocated for, is a Trojan horse for a single-payer system, because Blue Cross can't compete with Uncle Sam Healthcare Incorporated.
What about the IRS, Larry? What about the IRS and their connection to this program? Right now, it seems so ludicrous. Right now, they're under investigation for wrongdoings against conservative groups and channeling their efforts against free speech, basically. And now they're going to head up the charge and collection for Obamacare. What about the IRS and their involvement? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that the IRS is largely a corrupt administration. As you've seen, they have clearly targeted conservatives, and the liberals think, apparently, that prejudice is okay as long as it's not against one of them, because charity begins at home and justice begins next door. So they think that it's quite all right for the IRS to weaponize themselves against the Republican Party. So those of us that are conservatives are actually paying our tax dollars to sponsor those that hate us. And, to those on the left that think that that's okay, and to think that it's okay that the president tramples the Constitution and rewrites the law as a one-man Congress, my message to them is, well, if you're implicitly endorsing that this is okay, just understand you're also implicitly endorsing that it'll be okay for a Republican president to one day do the same thing and turn the table on the left. And I don't want to see that happen in either respect, because we are a nation of laws and we need to respect there are still rules of the game. And one of those rules is that the IRS is meant to be a nonpartisan organization, which clearly it is not. And again, the Agency of Transparency and the Administration of Transparency has precluded anybody from disclosing things. No one's heard from Lois Lerner, other than she made that monologue about how she's innocent and then pled the fifth. And then on the Benghazi attack, anybody that had anything to do with Benghazi completely sequestered. Nobody's allowed to say anything. What happened to the president, to candidate Obama, that ran on the Administration of Transparency and on FOIA requests that we're going to, the Freedom of Information Act, we're going to release any documents that America wants to see, and not just in the letter of the law, but in his own words, in the spirit of the law. Then he goes ahead and hides a whole bunch of documents that don't come out until my lawyers at Judicial Watch do a Freedom of Information Act request that clearly memorializes the fact that he did hide documents. And then they say that, well, they start wordsmithing and saying, well, that wasn't exactly what they were looking for. They didn't think that that's what they were asking for. Well, when in doubt, err on the side of caution. You think that they want to see it? Send it to them.
Absolutely. We're drawing close to the end of the hour on this segment, Larry, but I've got to ask you that did they make a huge mistake in thinking that Hispanics and other ethnicities would really sign up en masse for Obamacare? And they're not doing it. The percentages and the numbers of sign-ups are very low. What about Hispanics and Latinos?
Well, for the president that claimed that he was going to be the savior of Latino inclusion, his actions don't match his words, because the Latinos have signed up at the lowest rates of any group for two reasons. Number one, if you think healthcare.gov works great in English, you should see how it works in Spanish. It works so bad that people who speak only Spanish are going to start pressing 1 for English, because they don't get it in Spanish either. The second reason why they haven't signed up is because they feel that they don't want to expose themselves further to the government, because many of them, unfortunately, have let's say, compromised legality, and maybe some members of their family that they're afraid could be investigated in terms of their immigration status. So they want to try to stay out of the spotlight and just ignore the issue. And, it's unfortunate, because it is what it is, but the Latino community has definitely been excluded largely from Obamacare. They don't understand it. They can't work the website, and they're certainly afraid of bigger government, just like the rest of us are, perhaps for different reasons, but they certainly don't want to become involved in it. And by the way, if your listeners want to check out my personal website, it's theamerican.net. That's theamerican.net, and hopefully they could get more information there, because I know you're running short on time. So.
I do have one more question, though, and it deserves an answer here this morning in this segment. It's in regards to our senior citizens, of which I'm almost knocking on the door. What about the seniors? What about the people that come and talk to you in your orthodontic practice? What about seniors' thoughts about go die, we don't need you anymore? What about this attitude from the government?
Well, they're going to gradually see the implications of Obamacare affect them as we have cost containment, because the first ones that are going to get hit are the seniors. Now, bear in mind, when you don't have the young people signing up, and they don't have enough young people signing up, they themselves said they need 40% of those in the 18 to 34-year-old age group. They only got 25%, because theoretically the young people are going to stand and cheer and say, yes, we're going to help the seniors, and that didn't happen. So the seniors' costs are going to skyrocket most of all. And also bear in mind that the bill for Obamacare was largely footed by rating to the tune of $750 billion, the Medicare trust fund. So that was a big hit, and it's something that's certainly going to take its toll on the cost to seniors. So for those that think that Social Security isn't the lockbox, some politicians happen to have that key, and they need it for their campaign trust funds.
Absolutely. Dr. Larry Kawa, medical director of his own orthodontic practice, thank you very, very much for being on the program. God's blessings to you, and please come back in the future, would you, Larry?
Thanks for the opportunity, Jeff. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Wow, he is, and I want to mention this again, he has the only official lawsuit filed in federal court of any of the executive orders about Obamacare. He's going after him, and you got to admire the man for his tenacity going after Obamacare and claiming the illegalities, and I certainly wish him luck. Dr. Larry Kawa, and we had him on the program about pretty close to about 3/4 of a year ago, and we'll keep you informed as to how his lawsuit is going. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Once again, don't forget, Ramsey Heating and Electric has all the Lennox home comfort systems, whether it's a gas furnace, whether it's an air conditioner, whether it's a heat pump. You and your family will always enjoy the comfort, and that's, of course, at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Really, really good folks. Oh, my. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I don't know, Gina, if you can hear it or not, but I got a spray plane that's flying about maybe 30 feet over the roof of my house and making passes back and forth, and it's a little hard for me to concentrate. Can you hear it? Yeah, you can hear it all right. All of a sudden, if I dive on the floor, you'll know why. Holy smokes, like it scared me to death, the first pass that he made. Right during the interview there. Don't forget Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. My goodness sakes, they've got all the sofas and the love seats and the chairs and the ottomans. Oh, my goodness, talk about beautifying your home. And they've got all the bedroom sets, and they've got all the mattresses and carpet, rolls and rolls and rolls of carpet. And yesterday they had their great big Memorial Day sale, and my goodness, they've still got so much for you to stop in and check out. The motion furniture and recliners, and don't forget they've got all the accessories. It's all there for you at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Oh, my. In just a few minutes, we're going to have Attorney James Herson from California coming on the program, so don't forget about that. And I also want to remind you, we went for a ride on the bikes yesterday. Yep, went up in the hills, just enjoyed. It was a beautiful, crisp spring morning. I mean, you needed a jacket and a sweatshirt when you got way up on the mountain, and a little bit cool up there, but it was fantastic. And of course, thanks to our ATVs from Let's Ride, we were able to enjoy the great outdoors. That's right, they've got summer hours that open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6 at Let's Ride, Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley, and they've got the Can-Am side-by-sides. Oh my, they are great deals on those, rebates and great financing, and they've got dirt bikes, and they got Suzuki's at 0% financing for 5 years, and they've got absolutely the best service department anywhere, anytime. Oh my, they can fix it, whatever the problem might be. Service, parts, and accessories, all right there at Let's Ride, Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. You stop in, because that's where the fun is sold. There he goes again. Passing right over my sun deck. Give us a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And we'd love to hear from you. And we've got our next guest coming on momentarily. But before we get him on this morning, I want to remind you, too, about life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. You need to check on those things. You need to make sure they're taken care of. And the place to go and call is Cameron and Siemens Insurance, 436-4424. Dean and Todd, always accessible and devoted to serving others, and they're ready to help you. Please give them a call today. That number again, 436-4424, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert, serving you. Well, let's check with Gina and see if we've got our man over there ready to go, James Herson. Is he on the phone with us this morning?
Zeb, unfortunately, I just got a hold of him, and he said that there was a scheduling conflict, and he is not going to be able to come onto the show today.
Oh, no.
So I just called and talked to Deanne, and Deanne is supposed to be calling him right back.
Okay. That kind of puts us in a bind, but we will shine through it somehow and ask if you'll please give us a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587, and we'll talk about anything you want to talk about this morning. Boy, Deanne, we didn't expect that, did we? Anyway.
Oh, I just heard it.
Yeah, I know. Not a problem, Gina, on your part. And we'll see if we can find out what the problem is. And in the meantime, we will ask your calls. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. When you don't expect that type of thing, it kind of lays you with a right cross right on the nose. And I wasn't expecting him not to be there. I do have a story, though. I'll talk to Gina about this a little bit. It seems like in sports today, starting with the WNBA, the Women's National Basketball Association, and I commented on this a little bit last week, they have jumped on the bandwagon of promoting abnormal sexual deviants, whether it's the lesbians, gays, bisexuals, or transgender community. And I just don't understand the Tulsa Shock and the Chicago Sky of the Women's National Basketball Association are going to be having what they call a pride game on June 22nd. What's the deal, Deanne?
Tell Gina to call James. He will go on.
Oh, okay, Gina, I just got word that James is going to go on. He is going to go on. If you'll call him back, I'll take this quick call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
Isn't there some way that Congress can pass a law that they have to read a bill that is being offered, like the Obamacare system? Is there common sense to read something before they pass it?
Well, okay, let's back up to the beginning. Yes, it's just common sense that they would have to read a law before they pass it. And Nancy Pelosi's idiotic statement, which goes in line with a lot of her things, well, we had to pass the bill so we could find out what's in it. No, that's not right to the American public whatsoever. And there's something else that would happen if we did have a law like this. We would not be seeing 2,700-page bills because nobody would want to commit themselves to having to sit down and read that garbage and gobbledygook, 2,700 pages. So that kind of legislation would probably keep bills, and they shouldn't be more than a page or two in length anyway. So I admire what your thought is, and I wish it would happen because it would cut down on a lot of the garbage and the extra time wasted back in Washington, D.C.
Exactly. And basically it goes back to it's just common sense. I mean, if you can't read it within a couple of weeks, most people Well, I'm going to hang up because you got my point anyway.
No, I agree with you 1,000 times over, and boy, it would cut down on a lot of the balderdash. There's another word I could use when it comes to Washington, but I can't on the air. Ladies and gentlemen, I understand that James Hurston is available, and he is going to give us a short interview this morning, and I appreciate that very much. And attorney, television spokesman, author, etc., extraordinaire, James Hurston, good morning, sir. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Zeb. Sorry it has to be short, but it's always good to be with you.
No, I appreciate you taking the time to come on, and I was reading with great interest what you had written about a movie that we don't have a chance to brag about a lot of movies anymore today, especially, and ironically coming out of the Disney camp, The $1 Million Arm. And what I took from your synopsis is you think this movie is absolutely going to be the hits for the summer, and give us a feel-good that we need for a long time with the movies.
Well, I wish it would be the hit of the summer. The problem is it has to compete with these CGI superhero movies, Godzilla and the like, X-Men, that are comic book franchises. But it is a throwback to the kind of Disney movie that we remember that would uplift and edify. It's actually a PG movie. So it's a family movie, and the funny thing is that if someone had gone into the office of a studio executive and said that they were going to make a movie about, a sports agent who gets the idea of searching for Major League Baseball pitchers in India among cricket players, that they would say, well, we like sports movies, but that's unrealistic. But the thing is, it's based on a true story. It actually happened, and two of the people that this real sports agent who was down on his luck found in India actually signed with the Pittsburgh Pirates, and one of them is still playing in minor league. But it's an interesting story because it has three themes. One is that people with determination can accomplish things that would seem to be impossible. Two is that individuals who are superficial can discover real values in their life. And that's what happens to the sports agent during the arc of the film. And the third thing really is just this beautiful story of sort of a family that exists because, in essence, kind of like God brought them together, and that all of them discover sort of loving relationships. It's cliche in the sense that these kinds of themes are always cliche, and so the critics have given it mixed reviews, but that's because critics just don't like really sweet movies. And we need them.
James, I guess you can call me an old fogey, you can call me anything you want, but I'm the kind of a guy that I'm not going to pay $15 to $20 for my wife and I to go to a theater and be embarrassed and be sickened by what's up on the screen. And these feel-good movies, so to speak, man, I like walking out of a theater with my head high. I like walking out of a theater feeling, wow, that was really inspiring. I think a lot of people do.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's really not only is it the tradition of Hollywood, it's the tradition of what stories are, going back to the Greek plays, to Shakespeare, to what stories are all about. They're about characters and plots, and there's a value behind the story, and there's a key to the story, and it leads to a conclusion, and it's not just mindless, in some cases, mindless sexual imagery or mindless violence. There's something else going on there, and especially if it's something you can take your family to. And there are these wonderful animated films that people can take their family to, but it's nice to have one with real stars in it. By the way, the stars John Hamm, who's the cable TV star from Mad Men, and he's perfectly cast. And there's a hardened baseball scout played by Alan Arkin, who's still kicking around acting, and so it doesn't have like the A-list stars that you sometimes expect to draw people in, but it's of the same ilk as the movies that are now relatively low budgets that are making a lot of money, like Heaven is for Real, God's Not Dead. These movies that shock the sensibilities of Hollywood because the people generally don't understand. If people in Hollywood don't understand the values of America.
Well, you mentioned that movie God's Not Dead, and I don't want to jump off into a different tangent here, but if you have to go, just let me know, Jim. But God's Not Dead, that movie has really got people stirred up here in my area talking about it. Can't wait to see it. What's going on with that movie? How's it doing?
Oh, it's unbelievable. I mean, the movie cost, I think, less than $2 million to make, and it's probably closing in on a $60 million gross with a very small group that put it out, grassroots support, and a couple of stars. I mean, Ken Zorbo, who played Hercules, and Dean Cain, who played Superman. You got, Superman and Hercules, you got to make a movie. But the premise of the movie is a college student who has an atheist professor who he is debating with, and the professor makes a deal with him: if you can convince me God exists, you pass the course. If you don't, you fail. And that's not the kind of premise, certainly, that would make for a hit movie. But it has a huge profit margin. It's shocked people in Hollywood, and it's helped these stars that probably went into it taking very low compensation, helped their profile greatly, and it's really helped strengthen people's faith, because everyone has doubts. Even there are people that are very religious, and sometimes it's very, very helpful. The academic term is apologetics, to use that. And I'm going to have to run now, Zeb.
No, I understand. And believe me, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I'll be in touch. Attorney James Herson, God's blessings for the time you spent this morning. I do thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zeb.
You bet. Take care. Evidently a conflict in schedule, but I certainly do appreciate him coming on the air. And what I'd like to do, and Gina, I'll have you chime in on this too. Tell me some of the feel-good movies that you remember going to, that you remember all from maybe when you were a little girl, and guys out in the audience when you were a little boy. Some of that's it right there, Deanne. The movie like Seabiscuit. There's a movie with Tobey Maguire and Jeff Bridges and Chris Cooper, and that movie is one of my all-time favorites. And I'll tell you just a little bit about that movie. There's one scene in the movie after the horse came back after being severely injured, and goes and is way behind I'm getting goosebumps right now, way behind in the race, and all of a sudden the jockey says, "It is time to go." Wow! I mean, here comes the horses down the track, and old Seabiscuit is just wading right through the middle of the pack, going right to the front where he's used to being. That kind of stuff still inspires me. It still makes me feel good, if you wish, a lot more than the blood, the gore, and all the sex that's thrown upon us at various movies we go to as a family. And that's why Deanne and I have quit going to movies. We very seldom ever go to movies because of a lot of the trash. But there's feel-good movies out there, like Seabiscuit, and now this new one, The $1 Million Arm, that I can't wait to see. What are your thoughts, and what are some of your favorite feel-good movies? Give me a call on that. I'd like to hear. Gina, go ahead. I hear your mic on.
My favorite, E.T.
There's a good one.
Loved that one.
E.T.
Free Willy. That was remember about the orca whale?
Yep.
That one I really loved. Benji, always a great movie. Feel-good movies. There's a ton of them out
E.T., Free Willy, but that's, and then I'll mention again, that Seabiscuit was another one that I really enjoyed.
The Man from Snowy River.
Yeah. The cinematography in that is absolutely wonderful, and I had the chance to work with the director of that movie, Simon Windsor.
For the movie?
Well, see, I was in the movie Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man, of which Simon Windsor was also the director of that movie, and I had a chance to work with that man. Very, very nice man.
I have that movie, and so I am going to have to go and look at it.
Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man, and I'm in the movie, and I'm also the voiceover in the background.
You are?
Yes.
I'm going to have to watch that movie.
Yep. And Simon Windsor, it was really kind of an interesting story. I'll share that with you real quick if you don't mind.
Oh, go for it.
At the 1990 National Finals Rodeo in Las Vegas, Bob Tallman and I were announcing the rodeo. And after, I think it was the fourth performance, a gentleman came down and leaned over the railing and said, "May I talk to you for a few moments?" And I said, "Certainly." And he said, "I'm going to be putting together a movie, and it's called Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man, Mickey Rourke and Don Johnson, etc." And he said, "I'd like you to do the voiceover in the background and other aspects of the movie." And I said, "Sure, I'd love to." And so that was one of the last ones that I'd ever done in Hollywood. And Simon Windsor was the director, also world famous with his directorship, if you will, of The Man from Snowy River.
Yes, I remember that was one of the very first movies that Grandma and Grandpa actually took us to, was The Man from Snowy River.
What was your favorite scene? I got to ask you because I think I know the answer, but go ahead. It seems to be 9 out of 10 people say one scene in particular. Go ahead.
Oh, are you talking about the thunder scene where he goes through the rainstorm and saves the girl and from falling off the edge?
Yes.
With her horse.
Yes.
That was one of my favorite. That is, I think, the pinnacle of the movie. One of my favorite scenes, though, of course, is when he's riding back with the daughter and and the horses and everything, and he rides back to the ranch to meet the dad again after that big blow up.
Why is it that it's considered corny? And folks, we're kind of ad-libbing this a little bit because we had to cut our interview with James Herson short. But why is it that when guys and gals sit around and talk about feel-good movies, they're kind of laughed, "Oh, come on, you're corny. Oh, come on, that's hayseed." Listen, I like movies that really are feel-good movies.
Yeah, I don't like to go to blood, guts, and gore. I
don't either.
Horror movies, for me, it's either feel-good movies, kids movies, or comedies. I love comedies.
See, now, I would throw into your fray of E.T. and Free Willy, I would also throw into that fray Forrest Gump.
Love Forrest Gump.
Yes.
Or The Green Mile.
There again, we could come up with a whole litany of different films that would qualify as feel-good movies. I'd like to hear what the audience has got to say, and we'll add that to the list. But right now, I'll do a quick weather forecast, and the weather this hour is brought to everybody by Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. Number to call, 733-3546. All your guns, all your ammo, all your accessories, and all the trained people to help you at Red's Trading Post. Please stop in and see them today. Red's Trading Post, you better believe it, they give top dollar on trade-in for firearms too. 733-3546, located at 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. Here now, Michael Rogers Weather.
Hello everyone, Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Start of short week. You had a great weekend, nice weather. You don't feel like being at work today. It's going to be hot today. It's going to be a normal Magic Valley spring day. Yes, it's still spring. Summer's not until June 21st. Look for a high today at 90 with a heck of a lot of sun. Now, the good news is that you're going to take a 20-degree dip in temperatures starting tomorrow. And that'll continue all the way through the weekend. So you can look for temperatures in the mid to upper 70s from Wednesday all the way through Sunday with sunny clouds in the forecast. Enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Oh, thank you very much, Michael Rogers Weather, with our weather brought to you this hour by Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. We are taking a little survey here, an impromptu survey. Give us a call and let us know your favorite feel-good movie. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Oops.
They hung up.
We lost them. Oh, dear. I'm trying to think. I just had another movie on the tip of my tongue that was... Oh, I do have it. And it proves our point here this morning. It's been around for so long, over 60-plus years, A Wonderful Life. she's answering the phone. James Stewart, just back from World War II, Donna Reed, and others. It's a Wonderful Life. Every year at Christmas time, still one of the greatest movies at Christmas time ever seen, and it proves its longevity. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. Would a TV show count?
Feel-good TV show. Yeah, go ahead. We'll enter it in the category. Go ahead.
Dukes of Hazzard.
Now, why would that be a feel-good?
Well, it pretty much promotes all the values of family and community and of standing up for what's right.
Okay, I can't really say that I agree with that, but I'll put it on the list as a feel-good, the Dukes of Hazzard. All right, Rodney, a little bit different. I appreciate it. Thank you. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hi, Zeb. My feel-good movie is Ben-Hur. I don't care how many times I've seen it. When he says that Christ took the sword out of his hand, I just melt. I love that movie.
Now, there's nothing wrong with that selection whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I have a tendency to agree with you that it should be on the list because it shows virtue and honesty and belief in God, and I agree with you. I think that's definitely should be on that top 10 of feel-good movies. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
God bless you. Have a good day. Ben-Hur, absolutely. And I would also inject and see what Gina thinks about this. Gina, what about the movie The Ten Commandments?
Are we talking the Monty Python one?
No. We're talking about the Charlton Heston.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay, and her suggestion about having Ben-Hur and I'll go along with The Wonderful Life and Forrest Gump and
Christmas Story.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Now, that's a good one, too. That's a good one, too. All right, caller, good morning. You're on the air. Feel-good movies. Which one should we be paying attention to?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Turn it down.
Yeah, turn your radio down or off. Good morning, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Okay, I have two. The Sound of Music.
Ooh, good one.
Secondhand Lion.
Oh, and Private Ryan, Saving Private Ryan. I like that. Sound of Music, excellent choice. And Saving...
Have you seen The Secondhand Lion?
Oh, The Secondhand Lion. I thought you said The Saving of Private Ryan. I apologize.
No.
I have not seen that.
I love it.
Who's in that movie?
I'm not too sure. It's about these two grizzly old guys, and they get to raise their nephew.
I have seen it.
Wonderful.
It is it wasn't that the movie, and help me, caller, isn't that the movie where Robert Duvall is one of the uncles?
It could be.
Yeah, I think it is.
It's really wonderful. I love it.
I know the movie, and I agree with you. It's a great show. Thank you for your call. You brought up two good ones right there. Thank you.
Okay.
Excellent. I do remember that movie, Secondhand Lions. It was really, really good. Good morning. You're on the air.
Zeb, how about the Cowboys, the old John Wayne movie now? You know, if that didn't mold some boys into men, that's what we need nowadays.
You know, now, right there, I just overlooked it. Yes, I couldn't agree more that the Cowboys, it shows the love of an older gentleman and his wife. They couldn't have children, and he molded those boys into men, and, boy, they acted like men at the end of the movie. That is an excellent choice, and if I have anything to say about it, that definitely would be in the top 10 feel-good. Thank you very much.
All right, Zeb, have a good one, buddy.
You too, I appreciate it. Yes, John Wayne and the Cowboys. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
How about the Goonies?
You know, I forgot about that movie, too, and bring us up to speed on that. Isn't that the one where the kids, they find an old pirate ship? Isn't that the one?
Yep. And they save their mom and dad's houses from the guy wanting to foreclose on them. And
Now, that was an excellent movie, too, and there were some really good child actors in that movie that went on to be good adult actors, but the whole premise was that, and help me if I'm wrong because I forgot a little bit about it, didn't everybody kind of look down at them and forget the kids? Maybe they thought that they were lying or making a story, and at the end of the film, the old pirate ship broke loose from its moorings in a cave and went out into the ocean. Isn't that the end of it?
Yep. And that one boy, he had asthma, and he's on an inhaler, and it was a good show. And his dad was a courier for the museum.
That's it. Yeah.
It was a good show.
I like that. Excellent choice. God bless you for that thought. That's a good one. Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you. Caller, good morning. Your feel-good movie. Go ahead.
Where the red fern grows.
That's also another good one, Where the Red Fern Grows. Why is that your favorite? What touches you about that movie?
It's about love of animals.
There you go. I appreciate that. Thank you for that choice this morning. Very well said. Where the Red Fern Grows. Oh, my. We've got the Goonies and E.T. and Forrest Gump and A Christmas Story, the Cowboys, and Where the Red Fern Grows. Lots of good. See, Hollywood doesn't have to put out all that garbage all the time. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead.
The Blind Side and Rudy.
Oh, thank you. I forgot about Rudy. I could not agree with you more. I mean, man, I felt 10 foot tall and bulletproof watching that movie, Rudy, about that player for Notre Dame. Excellent choice this morning.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The Blind Side and Rudy. Rudy, one of my very favorite movies. As a matter of fact, I got it right up here on my rack in my office. Rudy, absolutely. Good morning. Anybody else? Good morning. You're on the air. Hello. Talk to me. Are they there? Well, while we're waiting for those calls to come in, I'll go ahead and do a quick commercial, and I want to remind everybody about Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center at 382 North Overland in Burley, and they were saying, too, there's lots of lacerations going on this time of the year. You got to be careful out there. Well, if you have a little injury and you need to be taken care of, whether it's a laceration, a break, a sprain, a strain, or whatever, please just remember the number. 678-6996. Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center, 382 North Overland in Burley. Minor emergencies, major care. The doctor will see you now, not in 4 or 5 days. So stop in, give them a call. They'll be waiting for you at Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Feel good movie. What's your choice?
Harry and the Hendersons.
Harry and the Hendersons. Now, you're going to have to help me on that one because I don't remember that one.
Well, it's about a Bigfoot.
Oh, yes, I do remember that. Okay. Harry and the Hendersons. I got that down. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Harry and the Hendersons. Thank you very much. Boy, there's some good choices on there. We got about 20 movies already, and every one of them family-type movies. And I understand this $1 Million Arm, the one that's coming out, also is a very family-oriented movie. Let's see if we have any more calls. Good morning. You're on the air.
Nope, just me.
Wow, I was surprised that people responded like they did, and there's some excellent movies on that list.
Another one was Ghost. Somebody called in.
Oh, and help me, the lead actor, he passed away with Patrick Swayze.
Swayze.
Yes.
I think we have time for one more phone call.
All right, one more call. Go ahead, caller. I've only got about a minute left. Go ahead.
Remember the Titans.
Oh, man. Yes, thank you. Absolutely a good choice. Remember the Titans. Man, I was ready to strap on pads and put a helmet on just watching that thing.
Yes, sir. I thought it was great. Can't ever get enough of it.
Remember the Titans. Yes, sir. And nobody yet has said my very favorite all-time sports movie, and that movie is Hoosiers.
haven't seen that one. I'll have to pick it up.
Absolutely. Won awards.
Great movie. Loved it.
Yes, Hoosiers, my all-time favorite sports movie right there. Good morning. Do we have any, Gina, any last thoughts on your favorite feel-good movies?
I don't know if it was one of my favorite movies, and kind of it was a comedy, but was Ghostbusters.
Yes, yeah, that was a good show. But you know, if I were to look at this list and I'd pick out Hoosiers, I'd pick out the Cowboys. Now, I have seen the Cowboys with John Wayne at least 100 times. And when those boys turn into men and go get the bad guys, I still get mumply bumps all over my arms because, boy, I say, go get them, guys, go get them. It's just one of those feel-good movies.
One of the ones that you mentioned, Hoosiers. Gosh,
yes.
I remember watching that one so many times as a kid. My dad actually loved the movie, so we actually watched that one a lot.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a real quick question. I've only got 20 seconds. What line of verbiage sticks out from Hoosiers more so than any other line that you remember in the movie? Real quick.
So you're a farmer's daughter, huh? Yeah, well, you got to plant by the farmer's almanac.
Okay, my favorite line of that movie is when the coach says to this kid, I want you to be so close to him that you can tell me what kind of gum he's chewing at the end of the game, and the kid comes back to the bench, and he says simply, Dentine. I love it.
Love it.
I got to run. I'll be back in 6.
Polite woman, and she insisted that men not swear or use bad language around her, and she was known to gently correct them if they did. And despite this, she was suspected of several murders, although nothing was ever proven.
Mm-hmm.
But she was a lady, even though she killed a few people.
Okay.
So it is believed that she was born in about 1829, but they really don't know where she came from. What is known is that the gambler who called herself Eleanor Dumont came to San Francisco in 1850 under the name of Simone Jules. So during the gold rush days, San Francisco was a town starved for women. And of course, gambling brought in the big money. So she went to work almost immediately at a place called the Bella Union, which was one of the great gambling houses in San Francisco. And she was hired as a card dealer, and I'm only going to say this once, possibly an entertainer. She attracted an impressive clientele and made a great deal of money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing that was a little unusual is when you went into these mining towns to gamble, most of them had men as card dealers. So just the fact that you were a woman actually was an attraction for men to come around your particular table if you were a woman. So anyway, she attracted a pretty impressive clientele and actually made a great deal of money. Now, in the Bella Union, or its rival place, a place called the Parker House, now this I thought was amazing. A dealer might make as much as $10,000 to $20,000 a month to rent a table in a good location.
Oh, my.
Just to rent the table.
Uh-huh.
Now, a private room could go for as high as $60,000 a month. So you can imagine how much money they're taking in, profiting if they're paying that much in rent back then. Now, Dumont, or Madame Mustache, liked the high-stakes games, and she rented the very best tables. Hundreds of thousands of dollars a day were wagered by miners who had money to burn and steam to blow off. Well, Dumont made a small fortune at the tables, but she was getting restless, and by 1854, at the age of 25, she'd saved enough money to open her own gambling house, which she called the Dumont House, and this was in Nevada City, California, which was basically gold country. Now, she spared no expense on the Dumont House. She shipped in the finest furniture, fixtures, money could buy, all that stuff. But she stocked the bar with the wide selection of exotic wines and liquors. Her staff was very friendly. They were trained to pamper any man who had the money to pay his tab. And her establishment was considered an oasis in kind of a rough and a crude world. So when she first opened her doors, drinks were on the house. And men were lined up to toast the new proprietor with champagne. And so obviously, free liquor, you're going to attract a pretty good crowd. Now, Dumont never ran crooked tables, so she was known for being fair. She loved to gamble, and she was very successful. Playing cards came natural for her, and it seemed that she could actually look into the eye of an opponent or another gambler and read him like a book. However, when it came to affairs of the heart, Dumont was not as successful. Now, I've got a picture of her here, and I'll describe that here in a minute, but men paid a great deal of attention to her, and marriage proposals were, from successful businessmen were, if not daily, a weekly occurrence. So there's a bunch of men that, wanted to marry the woman, but in Nevada City, she fell in love with a guy by the name, his last name was Waite, and he was a writer and a journalist for the Nevada Journal. Now, she did everything to get him to return her love, but it didn't work. So, and she told him she was prepared to give up the, quote, sporting life if he would marry her. But Waite wasn't interested. He enjoyed her company, but she just wasn't the sort of woman he wanted to marry. As I would say, it's not the take-home-to-mom type woman that, you'd take home to mom.
You're on your own. You're doing very well.
I'm trying to be very careful.
Oh, boy, you're walking on eggshells, and yet you haven't cracked one of them.
Okay, thank you. I'll try not to. Well, she got a little depressed because, this Wade guy wouldn't pay any attention to her, so she began drinking, which something a careful gambler avoided. And soon the quick-witted gambler was off her game. Her guard was down, and she never saw the two-timing four-flusher coming to steal her heart and her money, a slick guy by the name of Lucky Dave. He came into her place and managed to talk her into taking him on as a junior partner. So he took over much of the day-to-day operation of her house, and for a while things ran pretty good. He was paid a good wage, but he soon demanded full partnership. And then he became a little physically abusive and possessive. He wanted more control of her business, and Lucky Dave also began stealing from the house, which you just don't do that. So he was lining his own pockets. Well, by 1856, DeMont came to her senses and fired him. Well, at this time, she was getting a little restless, so she sold her business and headed for Virginia City, Nevada, and the Comstock Lode. Now, DeMont made a good living there, but still, she wasn't quite over the journalist by the name of Wade, so she moved on to other boom towns in the area. She tried her luck in Columbia, California. Impatient, she headed to Bannack, Montana. In 1864, she opened up a really nice place up there, and it was here that she picked up her famous nickname. It seems that there was a sore loser who had noticed the hair on Eleanor DeMont's upper lip, which had gotten a little thicker of late, and as he left the table with his poke empty, no money, he kind of yelled back and called her Madam Mustache. Well, the name caught on. And like I say, I'm looking at a picture here, and I can definitely see the nickname. But,
well, was she at all attractive?
The boom towns, the Madam Mustache was ready to settle down. She wanted a quiet home away from the roulette wheels and the shuffle of cards and the smell of whiskey, and she was kind of like an old gunfighter. She had nothing left to prove, and she was ready to put down that deck of playing cards. Now, there had been many men, like say, in Madam Mustache's life, but no one she wanted to put her brand on until she met a guy, a cattleman, named Jack McKnight. Now, keep that name in mind.
Okay.
Well, they got married. They bought a cattle ranch outside of Carson, Nevada. She had a beautiful ranch, really nice, money in the bank, and the man she loved. So what could go wrong, right? Well, it didn't take long before her perfect world came crashing down. One morning she woke up, and McKnight was gone. She discovered the man of her dreams was the stuff of nightmares. In addition to stealing her heart, he took her jewelry, her money, and cleaned out her bank account.
Oh, my.
Well, she had no choice but to go back to the gaming halls and bars. She was pretty devastated, obviously, and depressed. So, she started drinking a little more heavily than ever. But she made one sacred promise to herself. She would personally track down and kill the man who had ripped away her savings, her dignity, and her hope for a peaceful retirement in the high desert. Well, she was not a stranger to weapons, and she knew how to pull back a hammer and squeeze the trigger. Now, it couldn't be proven, and she denied it at the time, and most folks in the area are pretty sure that Madam Mustache tracked down McKnight and shot and killed him with her trusty 12-gauge.
Oh, my.
Now, some felt she had good reason to pull back the double hammers and that McKnight got what he deserved. And, again, there's some sympathy around there, so there really wasn't much done to investigate McKnight's death, A double-barrel shotgun, they probably said, it's just suicide, worst case of suicide they ever saw. So Madam Mustache, she headed back to San Francisco and her old life at the gambling tables. Well, she stayed there until about 1869 and gambled with some success, but she realized that she was not winning as many pots as she used to. So she set her sights on the mining camps of Montana. She also visited Deadwood, Dakota Territory, Cheyenne, Wyoming Territory, and actually flew up into Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Now, in Colorado City, Colorado, she reportedly bullwhipped a man who tried to cheat her. So, again, you kind of get the impression she was not a woman that you wanted to really mess with too much. But she ran a gambling parlor in Tombstone, Arizona territory. And this is when Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp, probably the most famous and deadliest gunmen in the West, they ruled the town at that time. So she probably, met them, talked to them, and they probably visited her establishment. But anyway, despite her best efforts, Madam Mustache never made the kind of money she did earlier in her career. So here we are, 1879. She's kind of disillusioned. She's tired of traveling, and by this time she was drinking pretty heavy, so she was dulled by the effects of the alcohol. 50 years old, she was desperate to change her luck. Well, she headed to a place called Bodie, California. Now, this was a boom town high in the mountains. Well, she played her game, which was 21, in a place called the Grand Central Saloon. But she kept drawing bad cards. She had lost her edge, as well as her gambling stake, and before playing through the deck, she'd lost everything. She was completely broke. Well, someone offered her a bottle, and of course she was kind of numb by this time because of her bad luck, and well, she took that alcohol. She drank alone in the back of the saloon. Well, the next morning, Madam Mustache was dead. Her body was found at 8 o'clock in the morning, and she actually was believed to have taken some poison. But anyway, several days after her death, the newspaper, the Sacramento Union, reported that a woman named Eleanor Dumont was found dead today, 1 mile out of town, having committed suicide. And then it made the note, she was well known in all the mining camps. So, out of respect for her, the folks at Bodie, California, took up a collection so she could be buried properly, even though she was a gambler and had other interests. She was a fallen woman, and they buried her in the cemetery. And that's the story of Madam Mustache. And I've just got to describe this picture.
I wish you would. You've been having me in suspenders for the last 19 minutes.
Okay. This picture shows a lady, and I use that term loosely, with a nice big necklace on, and she's got a dress, a frilly type dress on. She has a real high afro type hairdo. I mean, it's really high. Looks like it's about 4 or 5 inches above her head.
Oh my!
Afro type hairdo, really, really dark eyebrows, and a pretty dark mustache. In fact, I experimented. I put my hand over her hair and over from her chin down, and she looks just like a man. I mean, with that mustache and those dark eyebrows. So the fact that she attracted a lot of suitors that wanted to marry her is a little surprising. Makes me wonder if they were more interested in her money than her features.
Are you saying that on a 1 to 10 scale for being homely, she was a 37?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of women back there that were very attractive and very good looking, and we've talked about some of them. And but Madam Mustache, gosh, I'm thinking, why didn't you at least shave that thing off?
Well, yeah, but you never did really elaborate on other aspects of her life as far as how she made other part of her money. Now, I'd sure like to hear the rest of the story. Don't feel inhibited.
Oh, Zeb, there's certain things that went along with saloons and gambling. And entertainment, like singing and dancing was part of that.
You don't say.
And that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm not going down that road.
Well, I can certainly understand your trepidation, but
I hope you do.
But anyway, Madam Mustache, she had a lucrative life and then all of a sudden lost it all.
Yeah, like I said, it really surprised me when it says that the people would actually pay rent in these places of gambling, like the Bella Union and the Parker House. They'd pay $10,000 a month, up to $60,000 a month, just to rent a spot to run play 21 or whatever gambling they did.
And that was over 100. That was almost 200 years ago. 150, 160 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I don't know what 10,000 or 20,000 in today's money. It's got to be, maybe 8 or 10 times, what it would be today.
But you've had other stories on this program, and you've talked about it many, many times, about how they had everything. They had the world by the tail, and then all of a sudden lost it all. This isn't the first story you've had of this nature.
Right, and you would think, and I think she did think, okay, I've got the money, I'm going to leave it all, and she did. She bought that nice ranch. She married that guy, McKnight, and, I think she did really want to make a clean getaway, so to speak, and live the good life. And, this McKnight fella just cleaned her out, took everything she had, and so she really had no choice but to go back to the gambling houses. But I think she, in all honesty, really wanted to get away from all of that, but in the end, it's the alcohol that brought her back down.
Well, look at the money she saved on razor blades.
Well, and I think hairdressers, because that hairdo, it looks like a beehive, only there's no beehive. It's just afro type, curly type hair. Quite interesting.
Well, and
high forehead.
Yeah.
Just kind of an interesting lady. This picture, like I said, I'm glad I've got a picture because it really brings it home what she really looked like.
And you know what else is interesting? You take possibly literally hundreds of thousands of dollars or even millions of dollars probably went through her hands during her lifetime, and they didn't save any of it. They didn't invest any of it in land or buildings or whatever. They let it all go.
Yeah. Like I say, this McKnight guy cleaned out her bank account, so she must have been very, very trusting. Obviously she had enough money to go buy a ranch, and this McKnight guy probably had nothing. And in the end, of course, he met his end at the end of a double-barrel shotgun. But by then, he'd probably spent all the money, and so there was nothing left. But like I say, she had a beautiful ranch, she had money in the bank, what she thought was the man she loved. Yeah,
and
go wrong.
She could have gone and taken a small amount of money and gone to a school of chiropractic, and she could have ended up being a chiropractor right down the road from you.
I don't know. She's interesting looking, but she probably had a great personality. She probably just was a sweet lady with a good personality and probably fun to be around, and I suspect that when she was dealing cards, she probably laughed and joked with the guys, and that was an attraction, like I say, because most of the dealers were men, so just the fact that you were a woman would attract more people to come and sit at your table than if you were a man.
Well, yeah, and then while she was playing poker, she could bite her upper lip and nobody could tell if she was nervous.
Well, if she drank some milk, I think you'd notice.
Okay. Oh, you did it again. Now, listen, Dr-History.com. Tell us, everybody out there in the audience, about how they can listen to all the past shows on Dr. History.
Well, we've got about a dozen of the past shows on right now. We've got, the Alamo Creek Massacre, Granny Remedies, the story about Hugh Glass, Blackjack Ketchum, Soapy Smith. We've got about the Cattle Stampede. Let's see. I think there's a few others I'm not remembering right off the bat, but yeah, there's about a dozen stories on there right now, and each week we'll add another one, and we tell the story on Tuesday, and usually by the time I get it downloaded onto the computer, onto the internet, it'll be either tonight or tomorrow. So usually by Wednesday we'll have it on the internet, and they can go listen to those stories anytime. And some people driving down the road, with their smartphones, they can just go right to our dr-history.com site and listen to the stories as they're driving down the road.
There you go, dr-history.com. Better known as Dr. Ken Turner. God bless you, my dear friend, and I can't wait for next Tuesday. Thank you so much for being on the program. All right, take care. It's a great idea that he's put together, dr-history.com, and be sure and go to that website, and you can download those anytime you want. Oh, my. Let's also remind you that on Thursdays, we have a special segment on our program called School Days in Cassia County, and it's brought to you by some wonderful people, two great businesses, A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley, and Ambulatory Surgery Center, 1344 Highland Drive in Burley. Don't forget, summer's going to be heating up, cool dresses and all the shorts and everything, and they've got a baby registry, free enclosure cards and discounts, Cherokee and Dickey scrubs, all of this and so much more at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. And believe me, gift wrapping is always free, and they've got everything from birthday presents to family games and puzzles, all of this and more at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. And don't forget, at Ambulatory Surgery Center, over 100 outpatient surgeries are performed at Ambulatory Surgery Center in Burley. Every month, saving hundreds of people lots and lots of money with friendly and outstanding care. Call the number and learn about life-saving procedures like colonoscopies, eye surgeries with, of course, cataract problems, hand and foot surgeries, all of this at 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center, 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley, along with A Child's World, bringing you School Days in Cassia County. We're going to take a little break and be right back with more. Don't go away. I'll see you in 3.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, thank you very much and welcome back. Hour number 3.5 right now, if you will. I think what we'll do is get the weather out of the way real quick and then visit with my dear friend Dave Bigo. So stand by. First of all, the weather is brought to you this half hour by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. Your hometown meat cutter, locally owned with meat processing for over 20 years. Summer barbecue special, 50 pounds of beef and pork and chicken. Oh, my goodness. And along with, don't forget to order marinated tri-tips for any occasion. It is delicious. They're selling taste one bite at a time at Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. And we'll have more right after Michael Rogers Weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Start of short week. You had a great weekend, nice weather. You don't feel like being at work today. It's going to be hot today. It's going to be a normal Magic Valley spring day. Yes, it's still spring. Summer's not to June 21st. Look for a high today at 90. With a heck of a lot of sun. Now, the good news is that you're going to take a 20-degree dip in temperatures starting tomorrow. And that'll continue all the way through the weekend. So you can look for temperatures in the mid to upper 70s from Wednesday all the way through Sunday with sunny clouds in the forecast. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you very much, Michael. And don't forget, selling taste one bite at a time. Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road in Jerome. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very honored to have not only a good friend, but also a very interesting gentleman coming up next on the program, and that is, of course, nationally known author, and, of course, he has his blog that I just absolutely relish every week, Dave Bigo with Executive Management Services, and they just celebrated their 25th anniversary. Dave, congratulations. How are you this morning?
Well, thanks, Zeb. I appreciate that, and I'm doing fine. I'm a little tired though. I worked out in the yard yesterday, and then had my
My dad was in town, and I had to get up early and take him to the airport this morning, so I'm dragging just a little bit, so I hope I'm okay today.
No, you're doing 100, but now I want to talk a little bit about your business, Executive Management Services. You turned that into a really nice ad for Memorial Day with the flag waving in the background. You must be pretty proud of what you've done with this business over the last 25 years.
Well, but it takes, it's not just me. It takes everybody in the organization, a lot of good employees, and over the years that have got us to the point we're at. And, and then obviously a lot of great customers that stand by us. And, I look at those things as the most important, and that's the fact that we're in a free country, that people have the opportunity to do the things that we've done. Mm-hmm. And we have that opportunity because we have veterans out there that fought for our freedoms, and we just appreciate all that, and that's why we put that little ad out over the weekend.
Absolutely. Dave, I'd be amiss if I didn't mention two other things before we get to the harder news at hand, if you would. But last weekend, of course, the Indianapolis 500, also your Indiana Pacers are having a little bit more than a problem with the Miami Heat. Any thoughts on the 500, which I thought was one of the most exciting races I've ever seen in my life, and also the Miami Heat versus your Pacers?
Well, the race obviously was a great race and exciting finish. Second closest in history. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It was well attended, so it was a great weekend for Indianapolis, and I think it showcases part of what Indianapolis is all about. As far as our Pacers, all I can say is I think that we've got a bunch of head cases out there on the floor, and you just don't know who's going to show up. I've coached a lot in my life, basketball and baseball and stuff like that with kids and the older people too. And I don't know, these guys, you just don't know who's showing up from game to game, and obviously we're in deep trouble.
I would say this, and then I'm going to get serious, but I would say that if you took the personal matchups in that game and you took on face value for their ability and their talent, there is no reason why the Indiana Pacers couldn't be up 3-1 over the Heat.
Oh, I agree with you, and that's what I say. Their head cases, you look at last night with them getting into foul trouble early, and they're not getting the ball down inside. They're not rebounding the way they should. With their size advantage, mm-hmm. they ought to be posting them up and taking them to the board, and it just, I don't know. It seems like they let their heads get involved in this thing, and they forget what they're supposed to be doing.
That phrase, they forget what they're supposed to be doing, goes right in line with what I wanted to talk to you this morning about. This last week, McDonald's Corporation had their shareholders meeting, and all of a sudden, the protesters came out of the woodwork and are demanding $15 an hour to work anywhere in fast food. And guess who was involved in the fray was your favorite group, the SEIU union, and that's where I want you to pick it up and tell us more about what's going on.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. I talked about that in my blog a little bit, about them being involved in this whole thing, and they just highlighted it by doing this. And even their international president, Mary Kay Henry, showed up and to help storm the company's entrance. And this is their typical tactics. They like to try and put companies in the public spotlight and embarrass them, and from a psychological standpoint, get them to back down. They could care less about the employees of McDonald's. All this is about is for them to put pressure on McDonald's, and then behind the scenes, and nobody talks about this, hand them a neutrality agreement, say, okay, we want to do card check, and we want to organize all your people across the country, and we'll get them $15 an hour, which isn't true. And, these people, they're hypocrites in my mind, because, they say one thing and they do something else, and they really don't care about the people that are working at McDonald's.
Dave, I was surprised somewhat, if you will, because the USA Today is kind of a liberalized newspaper. Not kind of, it really is. But in last week's paper, they had a full-page advertisement from a group called MinimumWage.com, and they were really bemoaning the fact of these protesters trying to seek out a $15 an hour wage. You know, tell me, from a businessman and a business owner's standpoint, $15 an hour to entry-level jobs pushed by the SEIU. What do they want to do, break everybody?
No, Zeb, it's all about the dues money. What they want, the unions are in trouble. They continue to lose membership, and they're desperate to get membership back any way they can. And they look at it and say, okay, we unionize the people at McDonald's or some of the other fast food places, and we're going to get this number of members times the monthly dues, and this is going to be our revenues, and that's what they're looking for. And, they want to paint a rosy picture for all these workers. You're going to get this money, and you're not going to have to work as hard because we'll negotiate deals where you don't have to work as hard. There'll be more of you in that. When it's just the opposite, these people are going to, if they did get $15 an hour, they're going to be working part-time, and there's not going to be as many of them, they're going to work harder. But the unions don't want you to know that, because this is all about lining their pockets and using money for political purposes that they're involved in.
Dave, with your expertise, and we've talked about this privately on phone calls, but let's talk about inflation in this country as they try to push for a $15 an hour wage. What would it do not only to the lack of jobs, but what would it do to the inflationary aspects of our country if this type of thing goes through?
Well, it could potentially push pricing up. What I see, especially in this particular economic climate, is that most businesses would just reduce employees by enough to pay for the differential. And you might see a little bit of cost increase because you're going to have other associated costs with taxes and that, and potentially benefits. But you're not going to see that big of an inflationary part of it, as you are just lack of jobs and lack of service. You're going to be waiting twice as long for a hamburger out there. And the people are really going to get hurt, too, is if they push this minimum wage across the country, is the smaller mom and pops that, they are really going to have a tough time dealing with that and still staying competitive in the marketplaces. And but again, when you come back to that, this administration and these unions don't care.
Dave, one of the things that really surprised me in this article that said 139 were arrested at McDonald's headquarters, they arrived in 32 different buses. The SEIU had to put together a bus transit system to bring in basically these paid actors to come in and protest McDonald's. 32 buses. Isn't that ridiculous?
Oh, yeah, but that's what they do. I mean, they arrested Mary Kay Henry, too. They show her sitting outside of a looks like some type of van type of truck, but in her purple sweater. Purple's the color of the SEIU. But Zeb, they did the same thing against my company here in Indianapolis. They went out and hired people, and they bused some people in from Cleveland to march on the streets of Indianapolis against us and protest. And if you remember correctly, when Scott Walker was going through the re-election up in Wisconsin, they bused people from Michigan and Illinois and Indiana up there so that they could protest on the streets. And what that tells you is they really don't have people behind them. They have to go out and buy people, and that's pretty sad when you're not good enough at what you do that the people actually want to work with you on the cause.
When you look at things like this as to what happened with you with the SEIU and now what's happening with McDonald's, and it could be anybody. It could have been Wendy's, it could have been Burger King, etc. It probably will be before this thing's all over. Is that where we're at in this country right now, that we have people that don't want any low income, or low-level entry jobs into the workforce are going to be eliminated? We're going to be seeing such an inflationary figure of starting at $15 $15 an hour, and we're going to see such a cutback that unemployment rates could rise to easily 18 to 20%. Is that where we're headed right now?
Well, I think that's a good point. I think that the administration and the unions want that. If you look at unions, and I've dealt with unions for years, when you work on collective bargaining agreements with them, what they really want is they want to get everybody to a certain wage level, but they want them to be even. In other words, you're all going to make the same amount of money, and you're only going to work so hard. And what that's all about is control. And that's what I believe that this administration and their union buddies are trying to move us towards is, we're all the same. So when you're all the same, think about it, Zeb, when you're all the same, nobody's making any more money than anybody else. You're easier to handle. You're easier to control. And that's what this is all about.
Explain to the people in the audience that, sure, you might go ahead and say, okay, we'll give the low-level entry jobs $15 an hour, but then you've got kind of a retroactive problem within that business of the other classified workers that have been there and served you well over a period of time. They also are going to want a raise. So you're looking at an always up-the-ladder increase. I don't know how the businesses can afford this.
Well, that's absolutely right, and they can. That's what I say. Yeah, you do have those, for lead people, supervisors, managers, people in your office and stuff like that. Everything's adjusted accordingly. But here, again, it goes back to the issue, okay, you're not going to have as many people around because you can't afford it. So you're going to lay off people, and the people there are going to have to work twice as hard as they did before. And even when we were being attacked by the SEIU across the Midwest from St. Louis to Pittsburgh, our cleaners, our people that worked out there every night keeping your buildings clean, they got it. They understood it. They knew that these people were telling them lies, and that if you do something like that, some of them are going to lose their jobs, and the rest of them are going to work harder.
Dave, do you see this as a regional problem, systemic with the area of perhaps the East and then spreading like a cancer across the country? Or do you see this as a problem that's so widespread right now, whether it's Tennessee or whether it's Texas, they're all sharing in the same problem of wage increase demands because of the SEIU?
No, we're seeing it everywhere. You're seeing it down in Texas right now. There's a guy in my industry down in Houston that's going through it right now. The SEIU's really after him. And we're seeing it out in California. We're seeing it down in Florida. The SEIU has been going in after hospital workers and that. No, this is countrywide, and you're seeing more and more people get involved, not just the SEIU. I mean, look at the UAW. They're going down into the right-to-work states, Volkswagen and Chattanooga and places like that. And it's, again, because the unions are desperate, and they feel like they can go out and do this because they've got the administration behind them.
Is there a way to combat this attitude of gimme, gimme, gimme in this country without really having to prove yourself and work for it? Does it start in the schools? Do we need better economics taught in the schools? Tell me how we can fight this battle and get these young people to realize you can't fuel inflation like what the SEIU union wants.
Well, Zeb, the good thing is most of these people don't believe in it anyway. They understand it. But to your point, yes, we need better education. And one of the things that we as a company did this past year is, I graduated from Ball State University. I've got a master's degree in microbiology. And I tell people when I say that, but I clean toilets for a living, lots of toilets. But one thing that I see across the country is most people don't understand how business operates, and they need to do that. I mean, there's a lot of people that can't even balance their checkbook. And what we need in schools, and I believe starting in high school and then into colleges, is we need required courses, just like they have for English and math and science. We need required courses in business so that people understand how the free market capitalism works. And this past year at Ball State, my wife and I donated a large sum of money for them to make up movies on how business works and how capitalism works. And they actually showed them out in Las Vegas here about a month ago, and it went over very well. And they're going to use them now in teaching kids that go to Ball State.
Excellent idea. Dave, always appreciate having you on the program. I wish you the very best, and thank you. The best of luck to your Pacers, but they're going to need more than luck right now. And thank you for taking time to come on the show this morning, and I'll be in touch.
Well, thanks a lot, Zev. It's always a pleasure, and you guys have a great week out there.
The author of The Devil at Our Doorstep, The Devil at My Doorstep, Dave Bigo, and also excellent speaker, and I appreciate him coming on the program this morning from Indianapolis, Indiana. Thank you very much. We have a couple of gentlemen I want to talk about real quick, and that, of course, is Matt Darrington and Anthon Darrington. And wait a minute. I'm going to back up a little bit. Brett Anthon and Matt Darrington. There we go. A couple of Declo boys that grew up and really did well. They practiced law in the areas of wills and trusts and estates and ag law and water law and farm leases and purchases. And they've got an office over in Rupert at 601 7th Street, P.O. Box 536, and they say, we can help you. All you have to do is give us a call at 260-5280. That number again, 260-5280. Brett Anthon and Matt Darrington with Anthon and Darrington PLLC, waiting to serve you. Once again, these are people that care. They grew up in the area, and they know how to take care of your problems. Anthon and Darrington PLLC. Give them a call, 260-5280. I got my mind tied up there for a moment. I apologize for that. Calls are welcome, and I've got time. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give us a jingle on the landline. We'd like to hear from you while I'm waiting for your calls that I'm sure are coming in. Don't forget, to our friends at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. That's right. They've got the best tire value promise in the industry. Whatever the road throws at you, and there's plenty out there, from potholes to nails. If your tire is damaged from any road hazard, they will replace the value of your tire. That's right, and free lifetime tire and mileage care too, like free flat repairs, free tire rotations, free tire rebalancing, free air checks, free brake and alignment checks. Absolutely serving you with the best of tires too. Don't forget all the different tread designs, and of course they've got custom wheels. They've got the best in brake service and shocks and struts and front end alignments and batteries. All this at all 7 locations. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, we made it. We had our doubts earlier this morning, Gina, but we made it through the full 3 hours. I had a little touch of the flu bug yesterday and today, and I told Gina earlier this morning that I came within just the last couple digits of the phone number trying to call and say, maybe I won't go on the air today, but I think by being on the air it was a cure-all, a panacea. I feel better, and we're going to make it the rest of the day.
So what are you going to go do now?
Lay down and take a nap.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That sounds wonderful. Well, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. And what do we got coming up tomorrow?
Tomorrow on the show, we haven't finished booking everybody yet because we did have some cancellations due to the fact that we had the long weekend. We do know that we've got Jack Euler coming on. He's going to be talking about the raven poisoning, of which I think we need to do away with a lot of the predators if we're going to have a better sage grouse population. We're going to have him on the air, and then we're also going to be talking to Colorado Doug Johnson, and then some surprise guests coming on the program tomorrow, because they are a surprise. I haven't got a clue who they are yet.
We love surprises, and so I can't wait.
Well, I appreciate it. I hope you had a wonderful weekend with your family, fixing cars, planting gardens, and everything else. And did you go to Twin at all, or did you stay right over there?
No, I spent Saturday and part of Sunday in Twin, and then part of Sunday and Monday at home in Rupert.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so kind of split it between the two.
Any work on the old 32 Ford?
No, actually, funny thing, I was talking to James about how you wanted to take a ride in that, and he's like, well, then I'm going to have to do a little bit of more work on the old man so he can take you for a ride.
The old man, referring to me or the automobile?
The automobile.
Oh, okay. Because
the old Ford's name is, we call him the Old Man.
You said something about you got to watch where you put your feet because you might drag them on the pavement.
Well, it's just not very comfortable. When these old trucks were built, they were built for utilitarian purposes and not for comfort. And so the cab space is really, really small, and so you kind of have to scrunch up your legs. It could be an issue for you.
Okay, well, listen, that one leg's no good anyway. We'll use it as a brake.
Yeah, you could, too. Honestly, you could. But the Old Man is what we like to call him, and he's a lot of fun to drive.
All right, well, listen, God's blessings to you. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow at 8:06. The way things were, the way things ought to be. See you tomorrow morning. Thank you.